Hi, this is Sean, and in this lesson we're going to look at movements Barry Harris style on the tune Smile. What I try to show my students is not how to build an arrangement that's the same every time, but how to understand the language and the ingredients so that they have the freedom to do what they want. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, then Jazz Skills is the place to be. Come and see us there. And even if this lesson is too tricky for you at the moment, perhaps it will inspire you to the sounds that can follow if you work in the right way, and we have a developing fluency course to get you there for members as well. Without further ado, let's take a look at the lesson. Okay, let's move to the next tune. Smile, a happy and sad tune all at the same time, right? Anybody know who wrote this, or at least co-wrote this? Anybody know? Chaplin, exactly, Greg. Charlie Chaplin. Yep, George has got it as well. So, great thing about this tune for movement, look at this. It is full of single steps. Dee-da-ba-dee-da-da-dum. Then we got another one. Dee-da-ba-dee-dee-dum. Then we got more single steps. Well, that one comes from the last one phrase. Well, you could say all of this, and then all of this, and then all of this. Every phrase has got these single steps in it. So actually, it's really, really good for movement. Even the next line, I won't mark it all. Just know that everything here is, oh, maybe I will. Everything's just full of single steps, so it's perfect for chord movement, and we're going to see some things we can do on it. So, first of all, we really do need a C6 there because, can somebody tell me why? Why is it C6 and then C major 7th? Why isn't it C major 7th throughout? Yeah, Martin's got it because of the C in the melody. That's why we've got to have C6. Yes, exactly. Ali got it. Francis got it. Well done. John got it. Paul got it. You guys are getting pretty sharp. This is great. That means I'm going to use good old C major 6 diminished there. Let me just call it C6 diminished to save some space. Now, in many cases, I can use C major 6 diminished even on a C major 7th. But this one brings in something particularly lovely. Brings in that B in the melody, the 7th. And when I have that, I really like playing the G major 6 diminished on those. G6 diminished. Because, as I said earlier, our voicing for C major 7 happens when we take C major 7 and move the 1 to 2. If we keep inverting this shape that we end up with in the right hand, we end up with a G6. So that enables us in some cases to play G major 6 with a diminished. G major 6 diminished, G major 6 diminished, G major 6. It's actually an A diminished. It's alternating with. Exactly, Ali. 6 on the 5th. So we'll see what we can do with that, and if we can do anything with that. This will be another C major 6 because we've got a very clear C6 coming up, and I'm going to leave the diminished for the moment. That's maybe for another day. On the D minor 7th, just like we had on the last tune we looked at, we're going to use F major 6 because we established that, let me just edit that before anyone gets confused, D minor 7th inverted is F6. So we play our F major 6, G diminished moves, F major 6, G diminished, F major 6, G diminished, etc. And you will see that I may even carry that on way into the next bar, and we'll see why. Maybe for more advanced players, but that's okay. And that's, I think, something very important about learning this kind of material. I feel one of the important things is not clutching at everything for everyone. So if something is for one of my level 3 students and not level 1, it's fine. You can enjoy playing at, level, well, I teach movements at level 2, later level 2, early level 3. But even within those levels, learn to do one thing. So you know what I did when I started learning movements? I spent months just on major 6 diminished. What I didn't do was email Barry or fax Barry and say, but couldn't you show me what to do on the other? Isn't there something? But surely I could fill something up here, couldn't I? There's a space there. Just learn to do one thing, and my playing started to improve. And then I started looking at minor 6 applications. So I really believe in not creating an arrangement as such, but learning skills is far more effective. Okay, let's learn to apply this much first. I mean, today we are looking at lots of things, so it'll almost seem like an arrangement because I want to show you what to do on the tune, right? Okay, so that's a nice, clear C major 6 diminished movement, right? So we've got our C6, D diminished stuff, C6, D diminished, etc. So this is a major note, of course. That's a diminished note, another diminished note, and that's a diminished note as well. So they'll get diminished chords. Now when you begin with these movements, you might just put diminished chords on those places. There's nothing wrong with that. More advanced students may just move some notes, like top 3 notes moving. See, I'm keeping the E on the major. All this kind of stuff. There's a move, by the way, that I'll show everybody that I call smile, because it fits with smile. Because we've got this space here, I fill it in with a note in the left, so I'll go 1-6, the bottom and top of the C6 chord, and then move in contrary motion. It'll make more sense if I play it. You see that? And then when the right hand moves down, the left hand moves up. And then we'll see. So it could be, just to recap. Let's see. Entire chords in the right hand. It could be just a couple of notes, maybe just the top 2 notes. I prefer not to do that with this here and this here. Prefer then to go top 3 notes, right? Maybe something like that. And we could even come down to the root position of C. Maybe just move the top 2 notes like that. All these different ways to explore it, and you come up with your own things. That's the important thing. It's not just to learn something from someone else. You get to the stage where you can start to do your own stuff, and that's where it becomes much more empowering. Very interesting thing about going to Rome, especially when I went to the Barry Harris workshops there. A lot of really lovely and advanced players as well, but we all sounded different, even though the material we'd studied was, the same source. Everybody sounded individual because they'd explored their own ways of using the material as well. Next, we've got that C major 7th. Now, somebody said, couldn't you borrow diminished notes in the 3rd bar? Yes, so you mean, yeah, from the C major 6 diminished? You could, nothing wrong with that. But look at the sounds I get when I use the G major 6 there. So let me just focus on those first. Well, I'll focus on the C major 7 part now. Now, G6 over C, as we said. If we just move through that, by the way, G major 6 and A diminished, G major 6 diminished will look like this. Right? So that's G major 6 and A diminished. G major 6, A diminished. G major 6, A diminished. This is the one that people mess up on the flat 6 of the G major scale. G major 6, A diminished. So this one is the one to look out for, right? That's where people often go wrong. So if I just move through the scale, again, bottom note, top note, maybe of C major, and then let's move in contrary motion. Right hand goes up, left hand goes in the opposite direction. Hands move back together until they kind of swallow notes and decrease. That's one way to do it. It could also be like this. So maybe I just hold. So why might I play a chord like that? Anybody? You can tell Nick's one of my students. Well done, Nick. Yes, exactly. So some of you got it. I've taken 2 borrowed diminished notes. Well done, George. So this is G6. Let's go again. G6, A diminished. G6, A diminished. Watch these 2 notes. G6, A diminished. G6, A diminished. So sometimes, you see, and this is why I love that G6 over C sometimes. That's a movement, right? Just got the G major 6 with 2 diminished notes. Now Barry would have said, there's not a name for that chord in C major. What are you going to call it? C major with a 9. It's also got a sharp 9 and a sharp 11, and it's just a movement. So when you start moving through scales and not worrying too much about the massive long notes, then you get a lot more you can do, right? And that, by the way, can go. You can pick up the move on that next bar as well, because it's still G major 6 diminished. Okay, on the next one. This is just like the first bar, really, isn't it? It's the same sort of phrase, but just down. Right, so the first one is, and then goes down, obviously, on the next one. Now on the bar we're on. So that's a C major 6 diminished back to 6, because that's a major note, that's a diminished note, and then we've got another major note. Single steps again as well. Let's look at what we said we'd look at. It's tempting to look at everything, but we'll look at the D minor 7. As we already said, that's an F major 6 diminished. There's a few ways you could play the A7, but at least on the D minor 7th, we said F major 6 diminished. So we've got a major note there. That D is a major note. That E is a diminished note. Major, diminished, major. And actually, we can continue that scale all through the next bar, which is why I drew that line. Why? Because... does anybody know why, by the way? Does anybody know why we can continue using F major 6 diminished on that A7? Don't see anything yet, so I shall continue. Because if I do this, if we... Yes, Francis, you're right, it's part of the 6th scale. Yeah, it is part of the scale. It's because of this. See, if we go just through the scale in chords, and then put these bass notes in 1 5 1 5. This is F major. This has like a C7 function, because this is like saying C7 1 5 7, maybe a flat 9 3, right? And we just keep getting this 1 5 1 5 stuff going on, etc. Right? Could do the whole thing. Okay, now we're going to keep the same right hand, but we're going to change the left hand. As you know, F6 is D minor 7, because we've been talking about that. And now, this diminished also goes with A7. If you're not sure why, watch my other videos on that. So now we have the 1 5 1 5 type sound, D minor A7, D minor A7, the relative minor of F, right? And therefore, this diminished that's in our scale functions very well as a C7, and also, exactly, George, A7 flat 9, also as an A7. So I find the movement scale works there as well, because if we look at those two bars, A7 now, it's perfect, isn't it? Okay, now, 2 more bars, and then I think that's plenty on that tune. So F6 could be a D minor 7. I think if I were to write this lead sheet again, that would be a D minor 7 anyway. But, so we've got it in reverse this time. This is, the movement scale is F6, but the chord we're going to use is D minor 7th, right? So F major 6 again. Again, you can play the whole chord moving, or some notes moving for added tension. And then, bit of yearning, F minor 6. So, quick bit of info on F minor 6. We take an F minor 6 and put it with a G diminished. F minor 6, G diminished. F minor 6, G diminished. So, it'd be like this. Right, straight moves through the scale on F minor 6 diminished. This can all be C major 6 diminished. And there's nothing much going on here because we got big jumps on these areas here, right? Something to make you smile, I hope. Okay. Just felt like playing a bit. Hope you don't mind. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Please do give us a like, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know when I upload new content. And if you have something good to say, please leave us a comment as well, because all of this stuff helps to further the conversation and to help us grow on here so we can do more of this for you. We have lots more like this for you on jazzskills.com. See you next time.